record on this computer. Okay, everybody, here we are in the new year, the Friday the 12th of January. And so I just wanted to tell you that we are, of course, going to be doing the treatment practicum today and tomorrow. But before we start, I want to say that I've gotten 2 alumni, beautiful ladies, to come in next Friday to introduce their work since Infact and what they are doing. That's Pamela McCoos and Jennifer Crank. I think they're both from Canada, from Toronto, Canada. And you may have heard of them. They were one of the speakers at the Sweet Sobriety Conference last year. And so that's an asset. I had actually, Mona, at one point asked you and Sakir if you wanted to come and introduce yours. And there's still space for that, like on the 26th, if you'd be willing to come and do. Great. Thank you, Mona. I really appreciate it. I think it's really, what you guys have been doing there is, it's just beautiful work. And I wanted to be introduced for the students here. And now they know you too. So that's not bad. Okay, so that's that. Other things that I will be working on as we go forward, and before in the next weeks, like next Fridays, I will try to get in a lecture on setting up your own practice. And it is it's not an in detailed lecture on it, but it is, history on what things we can do to start. And I think Pamela and Jennifer and maybe Mona and Sakir will also be kind of demonstrating the things that are possible in the way of getting you guys started. And it's not going to be the same for anyone, because we're always building on our strengths and where we come from. And but we can bring in other people's experiences and knowledge and make it our own. And that's what we do in this business. We learn, we synchronize with some not, and then we go ahead and start and on what we believe we would be the strongest for us. So this period going forward is basically preparing you as you go forward. And we're going to be having the certification ceremony at Saturday, the 4th of, I think I'm right with that date, just to kind of go over March 2nd. It's March 2nd. And at 11 a.m. Eastern, and it's usually 2 hours. The certification is usually 2 hours, and we'll get some speakers to come in, and we have kind of everybody gets their certificate. We decided to send out the certificate electronically this year. And there's been a lot of problems sending those certificates all over the world, and we've gotten a lot of them back. And I think it's just easier. You will get a one that you can have printed out for not so much, or just print it out on your own printer. It will be designed in a way so that you can, and it will work for you. It's the same with the European certification that you will get. So at this certification ceremony, Those will be presented as well as the ones from Infact. What we are suggesting to you as we continue is that you enter the alumni community. Once you do that, you will have the ability to be as a resource on our website. We're working on that very hard, me and Cindy, finding a way to set that up on the website, the Infact website. And there will be, yeah, and also there is like a monthly supervision group session there may be more than one, because the numbers are adding up and we don't want to have too many in each, so that people can really get worked on. And in the supervision group sessions so far, we do work on both personal matters for you guys as you're going through whatever you're going through, and as well as what you're doing, of course, with clients or professionally. Supervision is making sure first and foremost that the counselor is okay. And we need a place where we have the support to do whatever we need to do in order to be a professional. And the ethics that we've gone through have shown you what it is that is expected of us. And one of that is that you be supervised. And so we have set up a monthly, a program. You can go into it online, and it is like 400 for the year or 40 per month. And it's like, if you do the year, it's like $80 off. You get 2 months off. And also you get private sessions, cheaper private sessions with me if you want to. And I'm negotiating also with Teresa Wright and Guttorm Taverud and possibly some others of the teachers to be willing to be supervisors, so that you'd be able to purchase sessions with them as well. So that's in the making. Maybe we'll see. If you have suggestions about people you'd like to be supervised from, then let me know, and we'll see what we can do about it. One of the things that we're setting up with and along, which is a bit different now with the certification from Infact, is you get a badge of being food addiction informed. Being food addiction informed is that you have sufficient knowledge. The alumni is then advancing you into a training period. A training period where you work on the supervision. And so like if you were doing your training for alcohol and drug addiction, and if you were wanting to get a certificate from the addiction professional, the US Addiction Certification Board, you'd need to do that for 3 years. And I would think that would be appropriate for anybody launching and wanting to do this work, that they'd commit to something like this kind of alumni supervision program as we go. And I'm telling you, that is also going to be beneficial as you are getting on your feet, and it will be encouraging you to keep going as you're not still, it's like when we're getting abstinent, it takes time to get balance. And as we go forward into this profession in any way that we are, you're going to be having support to get your balance and really start drawing out on your strengths as you go forward. Okay, so that was a little something about the future. And any questions on this? Anybody? Or dialogue? Okay. I'm so clear. I get worried sometimes that I may not be because of my language, and I know I put language together a little, in an Icelandic way, but hopefully. Oh, there's Esther. Go ahead.
Yes, it's not a question. I just would like to express my gratitude. So that's what I was feeling. Thank you so much for holding our hands and not letting it go. And I feel that it will really help me, like create a safe nest to before I learn to fly, because I think
Yeah.
that will take some time, and it's okay.
Mhm.
And it's just this feeling of safety and trust that I really, really
Mhm.
appreciate. So I just wanted to express that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther. I appreciate that. And I know for me how important this is. I really do. We need each other. I need you, and you need me and us as we go forward. That's always been the case. And we have built a beautiful relationships here in this group. And I want to see us continue to stay with each other in this. Okay, so to start on our agenda for today now, what the status of the treatment practicum, it's getting ready online, and I'll be working from my PowerPoints today and tomorrow. You will be getting those PowerPoints coming up so that you have them. I haven't quite finalized the last 3 steps of it in a way that I want it to be. And we're also setting up the PowerPoints and the material for on a weekly basis in a new treatment practicum 2, which should be opened up next week. You're fine if you don't have it right away, but I'm hoping that we can open it up by Sunday, Monday, or something like that. And so then you will have the material as we go forward. For what I want to do with us today is that I want to talk a little bit. Oh, Nuha, go ahead.
Sorry, Esther, can you repeat what you said about the presentation? I missed it.
Oh, okay, no problem. So what I'm saying was that we are still working on publishing the treatment practicum 2 with the ongoing material for where we're going, and that I'll be working from my PowerPoints, which is the basic material as of yet. That material we're setting up in the online program that's India set up. And so the material will be there as well as in the PowerPoints, and you will have access to both. We're also going to be working on the 4-step pretty deeply, and you will get access to printing out the 4-step lists. I will describe all of that to you as we go forward. And we'll have to kind of decide on time frames and limits as we go. Today is like a preparation day for tomorrow, where I will start teaching about the 4-step. Today I am kind of reviewing the material that we've done so far, specifically the 3rd step work that we did before Christmas. And you will be getting more of the reading material than I think that we had before, which is valuable material to have as we enter the work in the fourth step. Because in the third step, we are required to let go of self-will. And we are required or asked to surrender to something that most people that come into treatment don't really understand or know what is. We all do when it comes down to it. But we need to learn about what self-will is before we can let go of it. And that's usually what is the problem I see when people go into the recovery work as we go forward and learn about the model from the big book, what that is basically. What really gets people very confused is where am I in self-will and where am I in this other power that carries me? And where the dilemma is that self-will or willpower, if you will, don't work for food addiction or any addiction. Doesn't work. And if we're going to be relying on that solely, we're not going to get recovery. So we need to learn what the self-will or the willpower is, how we are demonstrating it, because most of us, we are not aware of how we do it. It's so ingrained in us because it basically is how our needs or instincts have molded us. And as you know, we all have the instincts. We've talked about them. I'm going to go into that a little bit, a little later. It is what every person has. It's the base of who we are. It's our humanness. It is our body. It's the animal nature of us. And we need to learn what that means for us. And the second part of it is that we need to learn to accept it for what it is. And surrender to that as well. And so much, we have had so much, of course, religion and spirituality and all of that tells us that we shouldn't be in our dark side. And quite often, the dark side comes out as we're in our self-will. Quite often, not always, but quite often it will bring out our defects. The dirty children of Eve. I don't know if I told you the story of Eve's children. I'm gonna do it again, just so that if I didn't do it. I love this story. And I used to be a Bible writer from very early age as a child. I loved the Bible and the Old Testament. I was a reader of that. And I'd go to my priest's office when I was 12 and debate about certain things from the Old Testament. I haven't since known where this story is actually, but please tell me if you guys know. But this story is about Eve and Adam, and God is going to visit them to see them and their children. And so Eve gets all excited and starts washing and cleaning up her kids. She had so many that she couldn't wash them all. So she presented the ones that were clean and hid the ones that weren't. And that's how I see defects and assets. It's the same thing. It's all God's children. One part hasn't been washed and has been put in the shadow, like a shadow side. The other is being flaunted. Here I am. Aren't I spiritual? Aren't I this and aren't I that? Okay, so what I am suggesting that we be open to looking at our defects of character as part of us and accepting it. And because that's where recovery begins. If we're crazy about who we are and what comes up in everything we do, we just want to kill it. It's not a good way of recovery. And this is the dilemma for most of us. We feel shamed or shameful, guilty, angry, frustrated, fearful. All of these feelings that will take us to the food if we don't learn to deal with them differently. Okay, please ask questions if they come up for sure. Jessica needed to jump out. Let me see here. No. I'm going to, first I'm gonna open up the my diagram here, just a second. Here we go, share screen. You've all seen this one. I'm gonna open it up and go through it again. And it is, I had my wonderful Gabby do a different one, but we need to still work on that one before I can present it. So I'm using the old one. Do you see it? And just some nod your heads. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so this is the diagram of the vicious cycle of food addiction. And originally, this similar diagram has come from Joe McHugh, who was one of the Joe and Charlie that originally started getting the model of the big book out in the communities of the 12-step programs, as well as writing it into treatment protocol for counselors working on addiction, just so that you know where the base of this is coming from. So we have, as we know, the biological problem, which is when we eat something that triggers our brains, our reward system in our brain. There has been changes in the brain which bring about a craving, which is a biological thing. Once it's been triggered, we don't have control. This is where we do not have control over our bodily functions. This is the bodily function. And so this is why we need abstinence. We need abstinence so that we don't trigger the body. And that will always be the base. We've talked about this. Once we trigger this, it's like having the flu or having a stomach flu. We are not in control of throwing up or not, or anything else. It just happens. The body controls. This is a concept that is sometimes hard for people to really get. So they will think, and I sometimes still think, well, so little in it, there's so little sugar in it. I should be able to handle it after 20 some years. My mind will even go there after 20 some years. I am telling you. So this is why I need a lot of program. So, but yeah. And so once we have triggered this with a food or alcohol or another mind alternating substance or behavior, once any of this has triggered us in some way, if we are food addicts, it's very likely that we will want to eat. We will want to eat. If we are alcoholics, we will want to drink. If we are media addicts, we will want to media addict, and go on and on and on. So what happens is that we experience craving. The craving takes over. It's a drive that drives us toward our addictive substances and or behaviors. And what happens is loss of control. We are not in control anymore. The loss of control has nothing to do with anything but being a biological loss of control. So then we eat, and as our good friend Gudorm has stated with us and for us, it is we will get through into this cycle again and again and again, and we experience the consequences, the bloating, the sense of exhaustion, with the people that are binging and purging, for example, all of that misery and hurt, and then we will of course get all the psychological feelings, and we will be filled with guilt, remorse. Why would I do this? I am so stupid. How can I? How could I? You are ridiculous. You should be killed, basically. These are I see quite often these thoughts, that you are so angry and frustrated and hurt that there is deep depression. We have resentments against the disease and us as a person. We start identifying us with the disease instead of knowing that we have a disease. We become the disease. And we first of all need to learn to distinguish between that. Then we will go into self-pity. Why me, God? And then we get angry at God if we have a God. Why would he put this on me? If there was a God, he wouldn't put this on me. And then it's the fear, the underlying fear. What if I can never, ever control this again? What if? What if? Okay, so that's where we go once we trigger the biological problem. So we stop. We go back on the diet or into the abstinence plan. Possibly we may be in 12-step programs already. We may not. We may be in treatment. We may just be trying to do this on our own with knowledge. And what happens is that sometimes we can get a time period of feeling okay. And immediately, if and when we get abstinent again, specifically if we're in an abstinence program, we may get a period of feel good again. I'm okay. And if we are coming back to this, if we're coming back to this, having had substantial recovery time before, we would recognize feeling, abstinent again. We will recognize that. So that brings us to the emotional barometer here. So the barometer is the trick question in all of this. The barometer is where we need to have a sight, and we need to understand what happens in this barometer. And that is the work that we're entering. We, of course, all want to be in the green zone, because when we are there, we're abstinent, obviously. We have our emotions and are balanced, and we have spiritual well-being. We're doing okay. We're doing well. And it does not seem to be, we don't seem to have any problems dealing with our food addiction. It's gone for a while. May not always be easy in the different ways of we're dealing with it, but it is what it is, and we're okay. We've been saved. We're in the lifeboat. We're in the lifeboat. So then, of course, if we take a look at the or just if you go to the bottom here, emerge in restless, irritability, and discontent. Those are emotions that will come up. These are actually, how would you say that? Well, these I can't get the English word for it, but not now. So, but this is the places we go to as we have gone through the guilt, remorse, resentment, self-pity, and fear, all of it. If we have ways of dealing with those feelings, we'll just go into the green zone and stay there. And if we know how to deal with those emotions, then we won't have restlessness, irritability, and discontentment coming up. And we'll just, but when and if emotions come up and rise, we deal with them. That's, as I said before, we learn specifically in the 6th and 7th steps as we go forward. And the base of that is the 4-step work. So let's say that we are beginning, that we don't have the tools to really work through those emotions that we're talking about here. If we don't have a way of dealing with it, that would be very appropriate, because if we are addicts, we have had a substance to use to deal with it. And this is why people go back to eating again and again, because they have learned that the substance is going to be dealing with whatever comes up. And so it's becomes like a default reaction to life. And now we don't have the substance, and the feelings come up, the situations come up, and we don't have any other measures of dealing with it, then we'll come into restlessness, irritability, and discontent. And what happens is that all kinds of thoughts start coming up in our minds. This is ridiculous. This, this is too strict. This is too that or what, or anything. And, or I can deal with it. Now I can do it. I've been abstinent for 10 days. Come on. I can do it now. Or it could be, oh, I'm feeling great. I'm on a pink cloud here. I've got it now. Or it could be, and if you listen to Guttorm's material, we've hear from the material in the big book, is that it can be good emotions and it can be bad emotions. And it is this too much emotions that we're not really dealing with in the situation. So what happens is that our barometer fills up more and more. There's this stuff that comes up there. And as it fills, it will go up to a yellow and an orange zone. And when we're up there, we start struggling. We start having thoughts about, oh, I want to eat. I want to have this or that. We will struggle with going to stores. We will see all the things that we used to buy, things like that. And we feel that we kind of need to white knuckle the situation. And as for a time being, we will be able to use the willpower. But then as the emotional barometer fills up more, we'll get to a red zone. And then there is a need to eat, and willpower does not work. The only solution to a person that has reached this point is having the first bite. The only solution. And people in that situation, they become calm and they feel that they are making that decision. Well, I'll just have it now and I'll start tomorrow. Well, I've done that before a million times. I can do it. Or whatever comes up. And they make a decision, but it is really the disease that is making that decision, not them. They have reached the point where they cannot not have the first bite. So this is the mental obsessive part of the disease. Now, if we don't have tools to work with this, no matter how good the abstinence plan is, no matter how good support there is, no matter how much you work on your past traumas and issues, you won't make it. You won't make it. Except if you're not a food addict or not an addict. Then you may not need to learn to deal with things. You may have learned sufficiently to do it in other ways. So this is to show you guys, how important it is for us to do the work that we are stepping into. And I must say, I am so thrilled that you guys are taking the space and time and have the willingness and openness to come in and just really do the work. Just do the work. And we'll do it to the best of our abilities. And it is the learning process. And then as we go forward, we practice one day at a time for the rest of our lives. Because then we've learned to bike, and then now we need to just bicycle every day, a little bit. Okay, so just to finish the the cycle thing in here. Once a person has had the first bite, then of course we're back to the biological problem for most of us. But then you have this in the middle here. Some people can eat moderately, they feel full. This is also for what Guttorm talks about is a click or a bang day. We may be able to have just one bite or two. It's a possibility. We may have landed on a click day, a day that, oh, I can do this. I'm not going to have any more. And we may not. We may not go to a bang day, which is going to take us to the bench. The problem here is that we never know. So this is the Russian roulette. The Russian roulette, for those that don't know, is a game where you put 1 or 2 bullets in an otherwise empty gun, and you start shooting. You don't know where the bang is. It could be any of these, even if it's 1. And so when and if people have a click day, as I like to call it, their mind will absolutely say, oh yeah, I knew I could handle it. I knew I could handle it. And they will want to handle it. They will want another bite. When it comes, it's a question of time. It could be 2 hours later, or 5 minutes later, or like a day later, or 3 years later. But it will come if we don't have a program of action that keeps us in the green zone of the emotional barometer. And there are some people, I want to say, that can eat moderately. And when they eat, they get full. They don't have the biological drive to eat like the addict that gets triggered. At least not in the way that they need to eat. Okay, so I'm just going to stop this share and take a look at you guys. Tina, you have your hand up. Where are you, Tina?
I do.
Yeah.
I think my internet is unstable. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I turned my camera off because of my internet.
No problem.
So that last bit on the top of the chart where it said some people can't eat moderately, and those people would not be food addicts, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then just clarifying.
Except Tina, sorry to interrupt you, except if it's a click day for an addict that they can stop in that instance. And that will happen for some people, not everybody, but that's a Russian roulette. Go ahead.
Right. So thank you for saying that. And I was going to ask for clarification about the click and the bang. Is that a food addict may be able to moderate on a click day or a few click days, but we never know when the click's going to turn into a bang. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is it a guarantee that eventually a bang will happen?
If you are an addict, yes, indeed.
Yes. Okay. And it may be months, it might be years. We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Thank
don't
you.
know. Thank you, Tina, for asking. Any more questions, you guys, on this? I thought it would be beneficial to kind of take this on because it's such a base on showing the disease, and it's such a base where the model that I'm going to be teaching you is based on, and why we need to have a program that teaches us to deal with life. And not only just teaches us to do it, because there are different ways of learning that for sure, but it also needs to have in it a way of being supported and it becoming a practice for life. I see a lot of people in the 12-step programs, they say, oh, I did did my 4-step in my work 3 years ago. You know? And then what? That's not the work. The work is you do it and then you start practicing it in the 10th and the 11th steps, one day at a time for the rest. Because it's a learning process on how you deal with your life. And that means, how do you deal with the lady at the store? How you deal with your children and your spouse and your family and your friends and, the people next doors, anybody and everything that comes up in your life. You have traffic, yes, that's for sure. And that, okay. I need to, somebody from Sarasota is trying to call. Let me see. Sorry, you guys, my phone was calling. Yeah, so where were we here? I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm gonna turn this thing off.
No, it was about practicing these principles in all our affairs, basically.
Yes, thank you, Joni. Yeah, and that's just it. And this correlates to that we are basically oh, my mind went, I'm getting myself back together here. I'm sorry, you guys. Oh, well, I lost it. It will come back. I trust anything and everything that needs to come will come eventually. And it's right. So it is, as we are learning to deal with our daily chores, our daily being, we need to learn to do it effectively in all our affairs if we're not going to want to eat. If we're wanting still to eat, it is an indicator on that we're not using the method, the model of recovery. That's it. And we need to learn and practice better. That's the situation. And that is an understandable thing. It's going to take a while for people to learn and to start practicing and be skilled at it. And the skill is very simple. We need to take the space and the time in the day in some way and fashion. And for everything in recovery, the solution, and this is my experience and so many others that have long time recovery, is that we cannot do this alone. We need to have the witness to what we're doing, not only with our food, but also with where we're at in our practice, our emotional and spiritual practice. And we need to get to emotional sobriety. So what does that mean, emotional sobriety? It means that we stay in the green zone of the barometer. And staying in the green zone is dealing with the emotions that come up as they come up effectively. And that means also that we need to feel, we need to understand we have the feelings, but we cannot be caught up in them. We cannot also have them just take us over and for 5 days be angry about something. We cannot afford that. We need to deal with it so we're not in the dilemma of it. And we may be having issues come up for us, and it will happen to all of us. it's always happening to every one of us. And it may come up, I may have dealt with an issue today, and then and tomorrow it comes again. And I need to do it again until I don't have to deal with it because it's resolved. And so that will happen. So what I am saying is that in order to keep our recovery, we need strenuous support, and specifically for people that are late stage, final stage in addictions, it's essential. It's just no way around it. If we're dealing with people early stage, possibly middle stage, they may not need that kind of support, but they will absolutely may develop into needing that as their as the disease of addiction progresses. And it does usually do that in one way or the other for people. It's tricky. It's a tricky disease we have here. It's not easy. I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to have Paul Erling come. And because he has such experience with addiction treatment and has developed a program to dealing with that, which is, I think, pretty similar to much of what we're dealing with here and initiating for professionals at the Infact School. Another person I'm hoping to get as a speaker and a podcast person is John Kelly. He is, or at least used to be a head of the psychiatry or psychology, I can't remember, department at Harvard. And he spearheaded it, the Cochrane research on alcoholism and recovery of alcoholism. And what they came up with was that the Big Book model treatment was the best, and the support of 12-step or similar recovery was the best treatment. It was so great to get this. This is like 3 years ago that they came out with this. And the Cochrane research is basically the best research. They get the most prominent scientists and researchers in the world. It's Yale and Princeton and Harvard and probably some others. I can't remember all of the people that were doing it. They will go into every detail of any tried treatment, whatever it is, and they will measure up what works and what does not, and what works better than others. That's the Cochrane. And they will take on different materials, and different scientists will work on that. This was specifically done for addiction, alcohol addiction treatment. And it's my firm belief and experience that we probably have a more complicated disease than the alcoholics. I think we do. And oh yeah, so somebody asking Cochrane. Yes, it's online. Cynthia, are you going to put it in there? Yeah, thank you. It's very much online. And now John Kelly has opened up an institute for addiction recovery. And if you put his name on, you will probably, and Cochrane, you will get the both, and be interesting for you to look at that. I met him at a conference a couple of years back, and I was lucky enough, he sat by me in a dinner that was held for the people that were speaking, and he was the keynote speaker. And I talked about food addiction recovery and work, and he was very interested. And I've kind of been waiting on contacting him, and I hope he remembers me still. I'm gonna catch him. I'm gonna catch him on board with us here. We need guys like this, that really, really know what they are saying, to cut through all the bullshit out there. Sorry, you guys. Okay, so going forward, have I answered all questions for now? See here. Now coming to the beautiful, my new PowerPoints that Gabi. Oh, Cynthia's put it out there, you guys, for in the chat. Thank you, Cynthia. Oh, we should actually take a break now for like 10 minutes. I'm gonna stop the share right now. It's time for a break. It's 5 past. Let's come back 15 minutes past. How about that? Thank you. On again. So we're going to continue here with the third step work, and I'm going to set up, share the my PowerPoints on that. Here we go. Slideshow. So do you see the slide, or do you have show presenter view?
We can see the slide.
Okay, so
That's
that's
it.
good.
You're in presenter view.
Okay, thank you. Wasn't sure. Okay, so step 3, as promised. The two things that are in the step 3 is, or the major thing is this decision to turn our will and our lives over to the case. What is it?
Here.
Care. Thank you. We need to fix this. Care of God as we understood him. So what is that, as I was talking about? What is doing that? And just the way of saying these things, it is, how would we do that, and why would we do that? For me, as I was approaching this step in early recovery, I did not honestly know what that was about. I didn't. And I was desperate enough to just do whatever I was told to do. And, I was at the end of my rope in life, basically. And I saw in the people that I was working with that this had worked for them. So that was my beacon of light in following their lead in what to do. And I think this is also why it is important that we as we don't necessarily have to, as counselors, have food addiction or addiction even, but we need to have some kind of an example for our client as we go forward. And that could be other clients, it could be people that have come to us, or people we know of that have done the program and are having and having real recovery from the disease. This is why at the Infact School podcast, we've set up like almost half of what we do is to have people in recovery, specifically long-term recovery, talk about their stories. And this is so that we can bring hope to a person that is totally desperate and everything and anything they've tried, it's not worked. So we come to an understanding in the first step that we don't have this power. The self-will or willpower does not work for us. We've tried it multiple times and it has not worked. So in the second step, it's being suggested that there is another entity or power that might be able to, were we to seek that, to support our recovery. So that's basically what the second step is about. We can keep it simple. And then the third step is, okay, now we've gone through the understanding that I can't do this alone, and there might be another entity here. And then now they're telling me that my self-will or my willpower I can't use that. How am I going to live if I cannot use what I have lived by? That was my thought in the early days. I could not understand. Took me a while to really, really understand. And so that's why I kind of make it a point with clients and in my teachings to help people get to a place of understanding why this is so essential. This is a turning point. In the first 3 steps, we don't really do anything. We just understand. And as we read the first 4 chapters in the big book, they are for us to understand. Like Guttorm says so nicely, it's like they're selling this model in the first chapters. They're just simply selling it to us so that we can, by the understanding of our inability to do this on our own, being told that there is hope, the second step is the step of hope, that there may be something else out there that can, we are asked to step aside, put aside our self and will, and see what happens. And we may have firm belief and understanding and acknowledgement of a power greater than ourselves. And some may not. That's the truth. And but I think once we kind of take a look at it, we will understand that there is the mind, there is the will, and then there is some kind of a power that is in everything. And we have research that shows us this. It's in our DNA. It's in us, and it is in everything that is alive. And it keeps us alive. There is something there that keeps us alive. For some people, that is maybe the entity that we need to just fall upon. Okay, this what we're part of on this earth. This what we're a part of. So what we're looking at here, yeah, Tina, go ahead.
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No.
This may or may not be beneficial for anyone, but in the big book study that I'm doing with Herb K, he always says, made a decision to turn our will and lives over to the care of God as we understand him or understood him and don't understand him.
That's a good one. I like that.
Which has really been helpful because even if I think I do understand God, the practice daily reminds me that I don't understand. It's too big for me to understand all of it. And so that helps keep me humble anyway.
Thank you, Tina. I love that. Yeah, it's the truth. And it is that, and it is, but we need to come to some kind of an understanding. Whether it's I don't understand it or I do understand it or anything between. So that's kind of where we're threading into with this material. So basically what we're looking for, what are the choices? It's the powerlessness and just staying there, or to look or be willing to set aside my self-will. That usually gets me into trouble because I will eat, I will do what I want every time, versus a power that may direct me into what is really my wanting to be. And I think when we get to our innermost whatever, we will meet our moral compass. We know if we lie. We feel it in our every fiber of our being. If we steal, if we sabotage or hurt, or that's not, we will feel it, except if we're just stuffing ourselves with something, for sure. Then we may not feel it while we're doing that. Then we'll feel it doubly afterwards. So it's the power seeing our self-will, which usually is selfishness and self-centeredness, coming from I want what I want when I want it, pretty much. And then we have the question, do you now believe, or are you even willing to believe that there is a power greater than yourself? Or more, not greater, even just more than me and my self-will. And to get from faith to conviction, what convinces us, the question is, what convinces us there is such a power? It's when we try and do, or actually don't try, when we do certain things, and as we perform, changes happen. As we perform certain practices, changes happen. And that is basically what the recovery tools that were being kind of offered here, when we do them, I can decide all my life, I'm not going to be jealous. I'm never going to be jealous. Am I going to be able to never be jealous? No. I cannot control that any more than I can control other issues of myself. That will just happen if it happens. In the same way, when I learn to deal with and accept my selfishness and my self-centeredness, then I will accept what I am when I am, and then I can work away from it, and it will be taken away. That will just happen automatically. So to recover, you need to let go of your self-will. So where is our will? And so here's a little thinking about what that is. And we kind of talked about that. And I know I'm a bit repeating from before Christmas, but I think it's important repetition here. I just want to kind of go down to the bottom of this one. Bill W. refers to it as creative intelligence, universal mind, spirit of the universe, the big, or we could call it the conscience, the soul, or whatever we want to call it. It is there. The name is not essential if we realize that we all have it. We just need to realize we all have a soul or a conscience. And for me, I think it is good to think of it as your conscience. Because the conscience, if you are aware of your conscience, you're aware of when you go off. That we will know when we're gone off. And then we know we've been in our self-will. And we really know we've been in our self-will. Another concept I have liked is the moral compass, which is basically the same thing. And the concept of the moral compass, to keep me in my moral compass. And once I get to understand this concept, I realize that there is a voice within me, which I feel within my body, not up in my mind, in my body. I feel it in my body and my soul, both, when I am off of my moral compass. And my body and my mind, or the compass, the conscience, or the soul, will tell me, if I listen, what is the right thing to do. And these are the concepts of, I think, most religions that I know of anyway, and spirituality. These are the concepts of spirituality and religions. And here it says also, deep down in every man, woman, and child, there's an idea of God. And I believe that that is so. Because we know that there is a spark in everything, in every DNA. Okay, until intelligence. And we know that in the acorn of the tree, in the acorn is the formation of the whole oak, which is a majestic tree. It will grow out of this little seed. And so we have that within us as well. So the inner direction that I was kind of talking about, which is the voice, inner voice, we may feel it in our gut. It's quite often the gut that will tell us if we're off or on. And here isn't it the interesting thing I like about this work of Joe's, it's all from Joe, most of it actually, is that the center of a human being in his mind. Now, we talked before about mind obsessions, and that's it. That is what happens when we're in the clenches of the disease, when the emotions have run riot in our lives, and we have come to a place where we don't have emotional sobriety. We don't have emotional sobriety. So this thing with the mind is, when you are body-based, and you let yourself feel yourself within the body, when you go to that place, then what comes up in your mind comes from that place. If you cut yourself off from your body awareness, and thus your inner conscience, then what comes up in your mind can be obsessive sessions, as obsessive thoughts. So this is the difference between being in our obsessions or in our mental obsessions versus having body awareness and inner awareness that will be a guide for us, and the guidance will come up in our mind. And here we have in bold, we have always had this inner force of direction, but have not used it or cultivated it because we have been living on our will. We have been eating. I want what I want when I want it. That's where we've been. That has ruled our lives. And now we decide to turn our lives over to this force that has always existed, controlling and directing our physical lives. That's kind of where we're heading. Then there is this point here on self cannot control self. And I really like this because it really tells it in such a good way. What we're really saying is that the self is like a machine within us. It's the personality. It's the making of the ego and the personality. And it's like a separate being within us. Like a separate being within us. And it's powerful. It's powerful. But it cannot maintain itself. And if it is not handled like any machinery, then it can burn out and it cannot mend itself. A machine cannot mend itself. Self-will cannot mend itself. It needs a caretaker. It needs somebody that turns it on and off, put oil, refreshes, supports it to be the best it can be. So similarly, as a machine, the self is the core of life. It produces the emotion, which produces the reaction, which creates the activities that make up life. So you can see how instrumental the self is. The reactor's core is very powerful. It must be constantly monitored and controlled. It must be guarded and controlled every minute of the day. If not, it will get out of control and destroy itself and its purpose. And instead of being a helpful force, it will become a destructive force. So what we're saying here is that the self, the power of the self, can only be controlled by something that is more than the self. A self is the same. I'm just going to read out of this. Can be useful, needed, and helpful if controlled by outside forces. However, uncontrolled, it can destroy itself. So this core is a core that is necessary to generate the power. So we see here how the self and self-will is the engine that drives us, that really does drive us. But the mechanism behind it needs to be controlled by a maintainer, a power that how do you say that? They say it here, the power greater than itself. So men and women can not ultimately control themselves any more than a nuclear reactor can. And so why do people have problems with power? God gave human beings the ability to make decisions. Human beings can make decisions based on themselves. Self is a human being's basic instincts. Therefore, humans make decisions to satisfy and please these instincts. But if humans only satisfy these instincts with disregard for the inner conscience of soul and others, it causes them great trouble. And that is what the self run riot will do. That is what it will do. Oh, any questions on this? Okay. I'm taking you off, so you need to just speak up if you have questions. Okay, so we're here into the basic instincts that create our personality. And we've talked about this and we've gone through it, and I want to do that again. So we have the social instinct, the security, and the sexual. These are the three basic pillars of our self and personality. This is what is built into our DNA in order for us to survive as a species. Then, if we look at the social instincts, what really is involved in that is that we seek community. We seek community because on our own, we don't survive. With others, we can. And this has been pretty known. One of the things that happens with people that have addiction is that they isolate from community. And that is quite often because they've developed resentments, fears, and angers and hurt from how their needs may not have met through their lives. And as a consequence of their hurt feelings, they've learned to deal with them with addictive substances and behaviors. And then they have the consequences of that. And as a consequence, one of the consequences is that they isolate from community. That's one of the things. They feel shame, they feel guilt, they feel fear, they feel resentful, they feel all of these emotions that are the emotions that will take us back to eating. So we have companionship, prestige, self-esteem, pride. This should be, I should have read it over here, the new ones. Personal relationships, ambitions, in the social instincts. So, and when those instincts and those needs are not respected, it will create a self. Well, all of these will create a self. And when wronged, it will create resentment, feelings of bitter hurt and anger come from rightly or wrongly held feelings of being injured or offended. So, yeah, so those are the feelings that we have, like a whole page in the big book where it says on multiple times on this page that resentment will kill us. It will kill our spirit and will bring us to addiction again, back to that. And that we cannot afford not dealing with those feelings. So then there is a dilemma. There's a big dilemma, because the dilemma is basically that we have been brought up in different ways, and most of us have had some, at least to some extent, some trauma in our lives. And some people have had even severe abuse in their lives. All of this impacts our social instincts. if we have not been made to feel that we belonged or we were accepted, and then we will feel alienated, and we will react to that in everything. That we will react to that in everything in our lives. So if we have not been shown respect and acceptance, we will react to that in all of our affairs. If we have not been shown that we're enough, and we are not been, then our self-esteem is low, and we will react as such as we react to people, places, and things. It should be pride. Now, in personal relationships, if we've not had the belonging, the acceptance, the respect, and feel low self-esteem, our relationship will suffer for that. And we may have had ambitions. We may have had ambitions about how we wanted our life to be. And I bet all of us, we become excited about life. We want life to be a certain way for us. And for sure, I wanted to be multiple things as a kid. I wanted to be a ballet dancer, broke my leg, so no to that. Then I wanted to be an opera singer, and I got to do that in my life. And there were other things, a nurse and a flight attendants, and different other things that I'm not going to talk about here. And I wanted, the life of Snow White. I wanted to be the Cinderella. Wanted the guy and the family and be swept away and be cared for. I wanted to be cared for. And that's kind of one of the things that I needed, took me a long time to get from under, to be cared for. Because basically, when it comes to it, we need to learn in our life that nobody's going to care for us. We need to care for us. I need to care for me. When I do that, other people will. Otherwise, if I am expecting other people to care for me, that will come out as neediness. And people will kind of retaliate to it in one way or the other. And then, of course, we have the issue of codependency and all of that. We're not going to talk about that right now. So basically, if this social instinct is not positive in our lives, we learn our personality changes in a way that we retaliate. We get filled with resentment, hurt, anger, righteousness, and we feel injured and offended. And I can go into that in an instant in a day. When I get a certain email, when, somebody is not nice to me, I will drop into that very quickly. I don't have to stay there so much in my life today, but I have my personality is brought up in a certain way. And I guess what I'm saying is that we may always have a residue of our upbringing as we go forward. But I want to tell you that there is recovery to be had. And that is based on being aware, not denying what comes up for us, but just seeing, acknowledging and deciding what we need to do, what kind of a responsibility I have in this regard, how I can help the situation, Okay, then we have the security instinct. So we have the material, which is to secure us in a way that we survive in the cold or the heat or wherever we are at that we have food, we have shelter, we have food, clothing, we have some kind of a security and safety. With material security, when people don't have that, then, and it is being threatened in some way, that can cause people to kill themselves. It's severe trauma. It is severe trauma, which makes it so interesting when you look at India and the people that live on the street. They don't know, but they do. They have means of existence, even if it's very little what they have means of existence. And that's what we need in one way or the other, means, and we need to be able to feel secure in that way. Then we have the emotional security instinct. This is so based on our needs for other people. And if we've not been able to trust people have in our social, socially not being accepting of us, we may not have trust. And thus we have a difficulty with any relationships where it comes to other people. And it may not be so severe. This is kind of a severe situation that I am describing, but for sure, at one point in recovery, we need to get to a balanced emotional security. And I can say for me that this program has given me the tools to get to that every day, again and again. So this creates ourself, the personality. And when it is wrong, when we don't have material or emotional security, we are in a place of not, or, being betrayed even, or losing our home or something, or job or health or something. What it brings about is fear. It brings about fear. And fear brings about anxiety, agitation, we're uneasy, apprehension, and etc. And depending on the abuse and the trauma that we've had, the fear is the fear can be what's the word here? More bigger or less, depending on that. It will increase the fear if we've had those the traumas and the abuse, if we have had that. Okay, then we have the sexual instinct. So all of us have a sex drive. The sex drive is good and it is God-given, says someplace. And it is something that will help us reproduce. And it's enjoyable. And then we need to, but in our society, it is often mixed with all kinds of moral expectations. And sometimes we are morally in tune with ourselves when it comes to sex, and sometimes we may not. So we may have like hidden sex agenda. And that would be in contrary to our moral principles and other other principles of society even. And so we need one of the things we will need to take a look at. We will do lists on all, the resentments, the fears, and the hurts and harms of sexuality. Those are the lists that we're going into to work on. We have an opportunity to look at where we're at in sexuality. And I can tell from my own experience that it was very sobering for me to take a look at my sexual contact through the years. And as I did my work, it kind of helped me to set my standards going forward in life. And as a young person and a younger person, I wasn't always in tune with the proper sexuality, basically, so to say. And I did things that were not appropriate, and I needed to accept that. I needed to take a look at that and learn from that. And I think many will have that kind of experience. It's usually kind of that this part, the sexual part, is usually a hidden. It is shame-based, very shame-based, and can be quite hard for people to be open about their sexuality and the harms that can be there. But very, very once, we can only be as recovered as we put light on what's in our past. And as we go into this work, especially for the ones that may be doing this really for the first time, it's really it can be very humbling. And we need to be sure that the people that we may discuss these things with are people that are bound by what's the word? Can't remember. Thank you. So
Confidentiality, yeah.
yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so and also for some of the issues, you may need somebody like, this is like, for example, why I have 2 sessions, private session with you guys, would be if there was something there or in any of those, which is usually is, that you'd want a professional to do this work with. I remember when I was listening to Guttorm, he had worked with a prostitute and as a client years ago, and what she needed to her work that she needed to put out there was not for everyone. It was not for just any person in a 12-step program. It was for a professional to listen to, you see. There can be things like that. And as we go forward, I will talk more on those things. But as we are wronged, or if we wrong others sexually, it will bring on hurts and harm, and it will result in feelings of shame, pain, worry, possibly financial loss for others or self. Okay, any questions Well, I'm just gonna get to this page here. This is the 3 parts of self. It's just like taking it together here. Self-will was given. It's the social, the security, and the sex. These instincts, social security and sex, are good and God-given. Each is a part of self-will. And human beings have never completely successfully controlled the dynamic force of instincts. When instincts are out of control, they cause us problems. In fact, all human problems grow out of this list of natural human desires. Every person in trouble at this moment can trace the exact nature of his problem back to this list. So, and all human problems rise out of self, and the alcoholic or the food addict is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. And self-will run riot is when the self is compulsively controlling the show. So the pages coming up is going through these three instincts and looking at what happens when we misuse or overuse our instincts. And I think those are very important for us to look at as we do the 4-step work. They are essential. So you will be needing to have this material to look at as we go into that work. And you can kind of look at companionships, how you have missed or overused your companionships, or the longing when you we all have the need for belonging and acceptance, and we are simply dependent on each other. When we use the companionship instinct correctly, it brings us together and enables us to complete tasks beyond the capacity of one person. And when we misuse, we are probably making demands on other people. We feel they should know what I need. This is one biggie. We get angry when things do not go our way. We may only think about our own will and others retaliate. We may overextend ourselves to please others, live for other people's pleasure and lose our goals, cause sexual problems by fulfilling our sexual desires without thinking of others, and prestige, again, it's kind of the same thing, disregarding, running over, wanting to run the show. We fear reaction. We may reach the top and still want more. We are restless, irritable, and discontent. That's where we go. Self-esteem, when we misuse this, we may demand to be a center of attention, run other people over to get what we want, demand all be our way, causing conflict with others. And we must always be right and never admit mistakes, causing guilt and remorse. We develop false pride and jealousy. And it's like trying to fill a bottomless pit. Within the need for companionship and self-esteem lie the seeds that produce intolerance, impatience, and resentment with the human personality. Within the personality, certain character defects may develop as one works to fulfill companionship and self-esteem needs. After many years of promoting self, resentment, self-centeredness, selfishness, dishonesty, self-seeking, fear, and lack of consideration can become a natural part of the character and character defects. This is what we need to know. This is what we need to know. That we, and there's much more, but I'm gonna stop the sharing here. So this is what we need to know, is that we have a driving force within, which is the self. It is a machine, and it's a core. It's a core that is within us. It's in our DNA. It can, however, not control itself. It has a way of being misled and going astray if it doesn't have somebody to support and help and guide. Well, that's where we're at. We have been on our own, trying to operate on our own as a reactor or a machine, and we break down. We have breakdowns. That's our addiction. That's how we get burned out. That's how we whatever, because we have not listened to the guidance. We have not been aware of the guidance, or for whatever reason it is. And this self, this really, really strong drive within us is built on and molded by our upbringing of how we have been, whether we've been appreciated, supported, or not. And our reactions to everything in life derives from that. And it's not me, I decide to be a food addict, I decide to be just resentful to this and that people, or whatever I am. It's not that we decide to be the way that we are. We need to have compassion for ourselves, because that's exactly what we don't do. We are just, caught up in the sea of life. And if we don't have the guidance and the support of a more higher power or something more, or the voice within, or the moral compass, and we've learned not to listen to that part, then we go astray. Then we run riot. That's when we hit the walls in our lives. So pretty deep stuff, huh? Pretty deep stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to see, as you get this material, we will go for further. Oh, let's see, where were we? Yeah, I'm gonna go fast forward here. This is all something to take a look at. I want you to really have this material as we do the 4-step work, and you may want to prepare for that. It will be in the material, and I think I did put it all in there, but I may want to change to these slides. Okay, so we go through all the instincts, sex instinct and everything. It's all gonna be there. I hope you see. So one of the things that we're gonna be, and I want to ask you to do, is a daily inventory at this point. So it is understanding the personality characteristics of self-will versus of higher power or gods or the moral compass, the reality of what we hear when we really listen. And if we are not sure of what we hear, we talk about it to another person that can mirror us in so that we are more sure of what we're hearing. And we still may be hearing something that is coming from the self-will, but then we will just learn where that takes us. So let's see here. I'm going to make it a little larger here. Yeah, it'll be larger here. So I will send you this list to do a daily inventory for you. And it is a really, really good inventory to do. And it makes it kind of pushes you to really take a look at you and where you're at. And I can say when I do these, I can have both the self-will and the God's will. So we don't have to be only on the other side. We are usually on both sides pretty much, especially once we get more recovery, we will be more easily in God's will or the higher powers section there. So one of the things that I know is that my self-will will always come from selfish and self-seeking, always. I don't have to stay there, and I usually do not operate from that place much in my life. It's there, though. So when I acknowledge it, it frees me from staying there. If I feel shamed or am shaming myself about it, then I will not. Then I will stay there because I haven't released it with love and self-love. So I accept I'm selfish. Yes. Am I dishonest? Sometimes I try not to be. Am I frightened? Quite often. Am I inconsiderate? Well, sometimes I am. And pride, yes, there can be both positive and negative pride. Greedy, yes. Lustful, absolutely. So I can go through all of this list and I have no problem with acknowledging with all of it. I have no problem with it because it is something that really is within me, in myself, in my personality. It's developed from my instinctual need and my molding of who I am as a person as a consequence of that. When I realize what I am in this, I breathe it in, and then I look at the other characteristics. And do I have interest in others? Yes. Am I honest? Yes. Have I courage? Yes. Am I considerate? Yes. Do I have humility? Yes. And I can go through all of this list as well and feel that. Not always, every day, but for the most part. So I both have dirty children and I have clean children. That's basically the story here. Then we have the third step prayer. We had talked about it, and the assignment is you may want to write it out in your own words, or you may want to read it and just use the wording from the big book. This is from the big book. I offer myself to thee In it, it's built what we're talking about, to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. We're talking to our conscience. We're talking to our moral compass, which is within the body and within the body. Relieve me of the bondage of self. Relieve me of the self-controlling and the compulsion that usually the the control issue that comes of it, so that I may better do thy will, so I can do what's right for me, that I am not taken away into the food or into other addictions, that I can just say, no, thank you. No, thank you. Not now. And just eat my weight and measured meal, if that's what I do. Take away my difficulties. My difficulties are the things that come up in the day all the time. We may also have other difficulties that are shadowing our lives. And those are the things that we have an opportunity to do work on in the 4th through 9th steps. We can kind of clear the table. We can clear the table. Take away my difficulties, so victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. So this prayer I have done for years, almost every day. And it's just an ingrained part of me at this point, this prayer. I ask that I be relieved from the bondage of my self-will run riot. That's what I'm asking for. I'm asking to become aware. So as I make the decision to let go of my self-will and have this power within me, or the higher power, or God, or whatever we want to call it, be the monitor, the supervisor, the part that turns me on and off and maintains me, the self, the personality. And that's the magic of recovery. It's the magic of recovery. Okay, so here's step 4. That is the material I'm going to be starting to work on tomorrow. So what we're going to do now is take a half an hour break and eat. I can eat now. And whatever you guys want to do. When we come back, we'll go around and see how people are doing. And we'll talk about practical things like if we're going to send in our food or not. And, we'll just deal with that a little bit. So think about, you guys, what you want to do with that. It is, if you don't have somebody that you send your food to, I do suggest that you take the opportunity to, and if you're not doing the food, at least to send in the check-ins that we did before, so that we're having a support on what's happening. And I will add to the check-ins the self-will and the God will, so that you'd be practicing daily. for those. Adding that on for some to a lot of other things that you may be doing for your recovery. Okay, so we have 21 passed, and so we'll come back around 10 to the next hour, wherever you guys are. On. And I hope it's okay as we go into the section that I keep the recording. This is only for the people that are participating. That's Muna and Sakir that weren't able to be here today. So what we're going to do now is I want to go around the room and just ask you to, so we're now in a group setting and so that now we are going to just introduce, it's introductions. Where is this here? Let's see. I need to open up. Just a second here, students. Practicum. And okay, I'm setting it up in the chat. So that everybody can just look at it there, paste. So it's my name, where am I powerless? Am I abstinent? Feelings, the issue for the day would actually be how you guys have been doing. What if there are any questions, concerns, and also what do you guys think about daily send in? Could be with or without the food, depending, but to do it for the God will and self will, and also just to go back into the routine of going through the check-in together. And so let me know your feelings about that, if you please. So I'll go first. I'll break the ice here. I'm Esther. Helga, I'm a food addict. I have eating disorders. I tended to eat too little or too much or try to get rid of in different ways. And I have also codependency, emotional issues, work issues, money issues, different issues in my life through the years. And I am powerless over specifically food and behaviors around food. And specifically also relationships with certain people that can be very toxic to me. I am powerless those are my at this point my biggest issues. I am abstinent, I'm approaching 21 years in early February. My God. And yeah, so we will celebrate together the 8th of February. I will have 21 years of we call it back-to-back abstinence. And that means for some magical reason, I've not had to eat or stray from my program for all this time. I have done tons of mistakes and forgotten things and been a human around my life and my abstinence, but never to a point that I had taken my will back. Never to that point. And for me, that is a basic demonstration of and on the program that I am working on with you. If I had not had that, that would not be the case, because I am a late stage, gorging, greedy, what's the word? Food addict of the worst type, I tell you, and it almost killed me. And now I've had this reprieve, and it's because I have a program. It's not because I worked all my issues and traumas. I have certainly done a lot of that. It's because of my abstinence, that my abstinence is strong enough for my kind of recovery, and that on a daily basis, I rigorously work the program, the model, the recovery model for addiction. And I have support. So I've been a good girl. Okay, I am so thankful for you guys. And that's the abstinence. I'm feeling calm, a little excited in my, kind of butterfly, but amazingly just calm and grateful today. And the issue is to support you guys and be here for you in any way that I can. And what I can be thankful for is being able to sit in my living room here, my sofa, with all my little animal herd around me, and do the what I love the most, which is doing this work. That's what I love the most. And so I'm so grateful for you being here and be willing to do this with me. Okay, who wants to go next? Anyone wants to jump in here?
I will. You didn't see my
Okay.
hand. I usually
Oh.
wait to the end, but
Okay, so, yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
okay. My name is Cindy, and I am powerless over pretty much everything. Certainly over world affairs, certainly over people's ideologies and propaganda and othering, and I'm powerless over even my own relationship with myself, and my thoughts and my impulses and my ability to experience being a physical body in the world. I am abstinent today. Thank God. And through the treatment program, I've adjusted my, I would say not my food program. I haven't adjusted what I'm eating, but I would say I've had an altered relationship with my abstinence, in that it's no longer something I am doing to prove that I'm abstinent. It's something that I'm doing out of who I am, out of self-care. It's not a separate thing from who I am anymore. It's not a structure outside myself. I have through being with you all in this treatment program, and I've been in quote unquote seeking recovery for probably over 20 years. And working a structured food program for 17 years, when I was doing it in between going out. Today, and out of working with Infact and understanding food addiction, I'm now starting to be able to address the trauma, to be able to address what my difficulties are in experiencing being a body in the world, and really recognizing the difficulty that not only my inherited, but my childhood. I'm remembering my childhood. I have more tolerance for recognizing the reality of the pain and for recognizing what I had to do to survive, without needing to be to provide empathy, without focusing out on other people and what they did and what they needed and what was done to me, but more what my experience is in my body. So I will say it's important. So I'm into the feelings part. I have been, clinically diagnosed for half of my life as being clinically depressed and suffering from anxiety as well as ADHD. And I thought that eating right, I wouldn't need to also take medication. And that is a fallacy. Also, since in fact, I'm back taking some very low dosage of depression medication, but I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I'm now a whole body. I'm not thoughts in my head that has to work really hard to recognize that I have to care for this thing that I'm lugging around. I feel one whole person, and that was not something that I could, I can see it genetically, for generations. So, I am appreciating that there's not, treatment is multi-layered. This is so complex. There's not one panacea for everything. I've even noticed that foods that are acceptable to other people that would be considered abstinent foods, I cannot eat. I can't process them, and I will binge on anything. It doesn't matter. Oh my God, I will binge on water even, I discovered. I mean, regulation is not something that is inherent for me. I have to be consciously, present for myself to and have an external structure to support my regulation, because I don't have I can regulate you. I can create structure and frameworks, and I coach people. But I can't do it for myself without external support, and I have no power over that, and I'm grateful to have found solutions. And so I'm feeling delighted about that. I'm feeling ecstatic, and I'm also feeling maybe like my kids call it adulting. I'm feeling more adult. I think maybe it's more having a more realistic recognition of what it means for me to be who I am, without with removing expectations, unfair expectations of myself and other people. The issue for the day is, I was speaking to my therapist yesterday, and I said, even to remember to do a simple thing like take my medication, which I take in the evening, I have to set up an alarm. I have to tell someone I took it. I have to check it off. It's really difficult. This is just an example of how difficult it is for me to attend to my personal needs. And I assume that's human nature. Like everyone has difficulty. And my therapist said, no, that is unique to you. Not everyone has that level of difficulty maintaining positive self-care. And that's was shocking to me. And it also explains so much. It is difficult for me to maintain my self-care. That's so embarrassing. I'm a highly intelligent, functioning person, and I cannot do the simplest things for myself without a lot of work, effort. And I used to just, I used to just, some days I'm too tired to attend to myself. It's a big deal that I make my bed. I have a whole program and structure around just cleaning up after myself because I can't do it alone. So I would say, I have to forgive myself for that. It's not indicative of anything else, I guess, but my wiring. And I have to accept that I've always been this way. Beating myself up over it has not fixed it. So it is what it is. I have to accept and love myself. And I'm grateful for everyone in my life who has accepts me, loves me, gets me exactly the way I am. I'm the last person on the list to accept, appreciate, and get myself. And that's on the issue today. And so I am thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for this program because these things wasn't able to articulate them in a place where we're talking about food. In all the other structured support places I went to, I could speak the dogma of, yeah, sure, I'm addicted and I'm a compulsive overeater and I'm all those other things, but they didn't speak to all of these. They didn't speak sufficiently to my trauma, to my disassociation from my body, to the mental aspects of this. So I am so grateful for, in fact, that we are discussing all of these things. And I feel like there isn't enough addressing of food addiction and trauma. They're just starting to research trauma and childhood ACEs, and how that affects mental illness, but they haven't yet, and they're looking at it, how it affects obesity, but they haven't yet got into how it the addiction piece of it. So thank you. I'm grateful for all of you. I'm sorry, you have to tell me when I'm done. I'm done. Thank you,
You're
Mary.
done. You're done. Thank you, Cindy. We have Joni. I think you were wanting to come in. Go ahead, Joni.
Hi, I'm so sorry I can't do my camera. I really feel bad about that, but it all of a sudden stopped working. So
Yeah.
I'm Joni. I'm a compulsive overeater, and today is my birthday. So yay. Let's see. I am powerless over my disease and my emotions at times, but I'm not hopeless or helpless because I have this program to work it out, and I'm really so grateful for that. I am abstinent, but I did have extra bites over the holidays. But I'm back on track, right perfect now, and I'm grateful for that. I think what happened, I didn't recognize some security and sexual issues that came up. I didn't recognize I was struggling with that, so I didn't even ask for help. Sometimes I'm not even aware of my emotions, and I'm working on that. The feelings I have today, I'm kind of just excitement and gratitude. Yeah, I feel pretty content actually. Issue at hand is we've got a core going on, and I'm here with them, and I'm about to on Monday launch this 9-week program that I've developed as part of this class that I'll share with you in February. So there's some excitement about that, and everybody's really so grateful that we're going to continue to meet. by Zoom every Monday for a while. Yeah, I'm grateful to be alive. My mother died when she was 67 and I'm 68, so I outlived my mother. So I'm feeling pretty grateful for that and for my life. I have a pretty good life and I have fun. So I think that's it. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Joni. Appreciate you. And happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Oh my God. Okay, so who is next? Mary. Mary Ann and Tina. Let me just kind of look at my gallery and get you guys going.
Okay. Hi guys, Mary, food addict, compulsive overeater. I'm powerless over all my addictions, which are food, sex and love, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, unhealthy relationships, codependency, fear, anger, all that kind of stuff. I am abstinent, thank you God, and have been for coming up on 3 years. I am feeling a little irritated and restless, having trouble sitting still, feeling scared, a little, but I am excited and hopeful and grateful, and I feel really happy to see you all. My issue would be that just, change of life circumstances. I'm back in Florida, back in my RV. I've booked into a cute little RV park outside of Orlando for like 4 months. And I have gotten hired by Shift. I'm so over the moon. I
Yay.
am starting as a part-time food coach. And so I'm already shadowing the food coaches, and we're doing our first intensive this weekend starting tomorrow. So I'm just absolutely thrilled. And but I'm really scared because I don't have, what I consider enough money coming in. And so I'm like, watching my bank account go down a little bit right now. I know that'll, straighten itself out. So just really excited about that. And I'm just grateful for like all those things. I'm grateful for the freedom I have in my life, for the relationship I have with God, for my love for people and animals. I'm just so blessed to be in recovery, and God willing, in April I will have 30 years sober and clean from drugs and alcohol, and then May will be 3 years for food. So, God willing. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you. And if you'd go next, please.
So my name's Anne, and I'm powerless over sugar and flours and grains, I would say. Yes, I'm abstinent. And I'm feeling a number of things, quite apprehensive about this treatment practicum, if I'm really honest. Really glad to be back connected with you. And this is not new what I'm saying. I think you know by now. There's just some sort of barrier between me and the 12-step stuff. I'm just like, I don't like the language. I don't like the way it's worded. And I completely respect and refer people to 12-step programs, blah, 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 blah. I've said it before, but it's around. So I think in the issue for the day, I just need to, again, show up being as honest and as authentic as I can be about that and not pretend. So I'm not going to pretend. I find there's something about the 12-step stuff that just at this point it doesn't feel like my thing, but I'm here and I'm going to do my best and be as open to it as I can be. In the break, I just got a text from a colleague saying, I just spoke to a colleague, a client, meaning you, saying, I've got a colleague who's focusing on food addiction and and she's wanting your name. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not so sure about that. So that was really interesting to have someone contact me. It's like, oh, I've got to think about really what I am doing with this, which is also quite exciting. So I'm thankful for being here. I had a lovely time over the holidays. I'm feeling really well. And despite my You know, but despite all my kind of, you know, doubts about the training, I'm feeling in a great place in my relationship with food. And that is in part down to this course and you. So I'm very grateful for that. That's me.
Thank you, Anne. Very appreciative. We'll see what happens with you. And just want to say that so many people have, you know, barriers for the 12 step because of language, is because it's from 1938 or 9, and but it doesn't change that the model is still, you know, the best we have, and it can be added on to. So I'm grateful for you just to stay with it. I'm grateful for that. Okay, so who is going to be next? I can't remember. Tina.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tina. I am a food addict. I am powerless over flour, sugar, unmeasured quantities of all kinds of food, social media, internet, computer, phone usage, powerless over my 21-year-old daughter who moved in with us in November and didn't come home last night. So that's but she texted me and told me she was okay. So then God's like, okay, you're gonna have to let go of it. Now. You're gonna have to go. Okay, fine. Powerless over, you know, people, institutions, and yeah, pretty much everything except my response to all the things. I am abstinent and 1,634 days. And I was you know, listening to Esther's. I had some little things that happened over the holidays that were, one was completely unintentional. The other one I had to really look at and go, what's going on with you? And they were around food, but I was not wanting to get into, I didn't take the first bite of something and wanted to, you know, it didn't, yeah, I remained emotionally sober, talked with my sponsor about both things that happened. That's the thing that's been different for me, particularly in this class, and the practice of the daily check-ins, and that honesty really helped me a lot. As well as working with sponsees from whom I was expecting complete rigorous honesty. And God was like, you gonna practice what you're asking other people to do? Sure, I will. So it felt really good to immediately reach out to my sponsor when these two things happened. One was immediate, the other one was the next day because I was traveling. It was crazy. There was, yeah, here's the thing. There were a lot of things out of my control over the holidays, especially with travel, a rental car that broke down. I missed a flight because there were 500 people in, I'm not exaggerating, 500 people in line at the airport to check their bags, and pretty much everyone missed their flight, the early flights. And because of the principles of this program, 12 steps, and the tools that I have through my 12-step fellowship and what I've learned here, I never got upset. I did not get upset. I just was like, okay, God, this is happening. What's the next step? How can we handle this? What can we do? I asked for help. And everything worked out. However, I will say, after I left the airport and my husband and daughter were able to get on the flight and fly home, I stayed an extra day in a hotel, and that all worked out beautifully. I was standing in the hotel. I had my breakfast with me and the big suitcase with all my food and the extra Christmas gifts that I couldn't check because the line was so long. Standing in the lobby, the little marketplace in the hotel lobby where there was a microwave, and I was heating up my breakfast. And I'm standing there, there's a wall of snacks, just all the snacks. And I'm thinking, yeah, I could And it was just a fleeting thought, and then I had a feeling, and the feeling was exhaustion and overwhelm. And I felt like I connected with my 5-year-old little girl who just wanted mommy and to sit in mommy's lap and have a cry and have arms around, say, it's gonna be okay, honey. It's okay. So I went up to the room. My sister happened to be with me. I sat on the bed and I cried. My sister put her arm around me and I just said, I'm tired. I need to, my emotional, and I had recognized and had the thought, my emotional barometer is in the red zone here. Like I am out of the green, I'm in the red. I need to cry. Just cried, calm. I ate my breakfast and the rest of the day unfolded and it worked out. Everything worked out beautifully. So thank you. I'm grateful. I guess I could call that my gratitude. My feelings, I am tired right now, and forgive me for turning my camera off, but I was struggling a little bit to be present and I needed to close my eyes and listen. So thank you, God, that this is recorded, but I'm feeling very tired today. However, I feel calm and serene, and I relate to what I heard from Anne when Esther was talking about moving forward and certification and the certificate and the European this and that and alumni. And I started to feel myself going, oh, I don't know if I can, I really don't know if I can do this. I don't. And the person that I've been sort of working with here, she is just so super resistant. Like and I can't force her to do anything, you know, but I'm watching her. I'm seeing all the things that we've studied about that she is just, I thought she was in contemplation. I'm not sure she's even in contemplation after the holidays anymore. So it makes me feel like I'm ineffective. I don't know if I'll ever be effective as a food addiction counselor. I had a sponsee that confessed to lying to me for several months about her food, and grateful that she finally confessed. But then that, again, trying not to stay in self-pity or anything, but going, you know, okay, how can I support people? And just realizing that dealing with food addiction, it's just hard. It's just a hard addiction to deal with. That's all. It's not easy. It's not easy for me. I like to tell myself, oh, I've been absent. It's not easy. And this work is not easy. And so people are ready when they're ready. I don't, you know, so my issue for today, I think, is really just being tired. I feel tired and I'm going to need to rest after class and not push myself. I am working through the 6th and 7th step right now in my big book study, and it's no small thing. So, I think that's, and I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for Infact. I'm grateful for counselors and professionals in this medium who just stay the course, who are warriors, who just keep showing up and presenting the work and presenting the solution and being available. I'm really grateful for all of you who's just sticking in there. Just yeah. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Wonderful. Take care of yourself. Okay, so I have Rachel, Vicky, and then Jessica, then Cheryl, Esther. I think that will, and Mona can't. She is tending to her mother. So Rachel, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Rachel. I'm a food addict, an alcoholic, codependent. I'm powerless over flour, sugar, quantities of any kind of food or drink, anything at all, anything at all. I remain abstinent. I'm abstinent today by the grace of God, and also by my own willingness to surrender and to the truth of my addiction, you know. And I was thinking about, in terms of feelings, I was thinking about how strong that tension is in me but particularly in early recovery and for everyone that we're going to be working with, but for me too, like what I've had to resolve around the idea of like self-will run riot versus powerlessness, lack of agency, handing it all over to God. And like Anne said, it's like sometimes I've struggled with that idea that I have to admit that I'm powerless. Like I can get stuck on step one forever and ever and ever, you know, and I believe in a theology of co-creation. And so it's been difficult for me to like, well, it was, and it is, but I feel like I'm going a lot deeper. And this holiday season has really helped me go a lot deeper and begin to imagine even beginning to work with the steps. Because I was resistant for a really long time. I agreed that I was a food addict. I agreed I needed a food program. I agreed that I was powerless. I agreed that I needed to surrender. But I didn't like the idea that just all the agency was gone. And one of the things that I've been thinking about and feeling pretty deeply is that it is still a co-creative thing for me, that my agency is now in my surrender. It's in my willingness. It's in my ability to say, I can't control anything around me. I can't control my husband's illness. I can't control the fact I'm leaving a house we love. I can't control the fact that we don't have money coming in. I can't control the fact that I don't know what I'm going to do with any of this professionally, personally. But I can control today. I can control I control surrendering to the idea that I admit that I am powerless over my food, over my quantities, over flour and sugar. I know this to the depths of my core. I mean, eating for me for a really long time was like a divine right. It was like something, having grown up in a household that was very controlling around food. For me, it was like, for most of my adult life, the idea that I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, was like God's gift to me, right? It was like, this is the only thing I have in my life. I'm going to take it. And I ran with it to 300 pounds almost. Now I sit at a normal BMI, which is, it's like remarkable. And I sit in a willingness and a surrender. And I feel closer to God than ever before. And I'm willing to say I'm powerless. My life is unmanageable. I surrender. I give myself over to the care of God. In this addiction, I give myself over to the care of God. Third step, what we were talking about, like, I can't believe I'm working the steps. Like I am. And it's magical for me. It's a deepening of something that I knew intellectually that I was doing in my abstinence, but now it's becoming richer and deeper in embracing the steps. And I'm really like still learning what they are, to be honest with you. And at the same time, like really appreciating them more than ever. And, you know, I was working with a group it's a women's group that, well, it's just 4 of us, and we talk about our food addiction recovery together. And it's sort of like a accountability group, but it's outside of the step work. But we all agreed that we keep on having to return to step 1, that's the key, you know, and the tension between like, I want to be able to eat whatever I want to eat. You know, everybody else does. We look around like, you know, the holidays are here. Why can't we eat? That tension between that and the reality of the addiction, you know, demands the return to the powerlessness over and over and over. I'm powerless over this. Yeah, we're back at step 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And like Esther was saying earlier, it's like, you can't, it's not a one and done. It's every day. It's every day. You know, I remind myself that the co-creation that I'm involved in, the theology of co-creation that I believe in, is about my part is the willingness, the surrender, the release. You know, no, I can't just eat whatever I want. Not if I want to be in relationship with myself and with God and with the people around me, an authentic relationship. So it's like, I just have all these feelings around 12-step work that I'm like just in love with it now. And I can't wait to go deeper and learn more. And Yeah, and it's a lot of, it's because of this class too, just the gratitude for, Esther, what you've given in combining these two pieces. Like there's the, I'm going on and on, but there's the stuff around food addiction, which is about a food plan and about counseling and about, it's really therapy work in some ways. And then, and then there's the work of relinquishment, you know, and the work of theology and of relationship with God. And that's beautiful work too. And I, you know, I mean, I come out of a seminary background, like I love that work. And that's where the 12-step work is. So I'm excited to do more of it. I'm excited for it to become a richer, deeper part of my recovery. But that's what I'm feeling, and those are my issues of the day, and that's what I'm thankful for.
Thank you, Rachel. So beautiful. How is your husband doing?
One day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. For today, he's okay. He's resting and just waiting, you know, and each day is the day we don't know what the next day is. We don't know what today is.
Yeah.
It's like everything is just the same, right? It's all the same. It's like everything is one day at a time. Everything is surrender. Everything is relinquishment. Everything is also giving oneself over to the care and the love of the people around you and to God, and to a food program that holds me so safe. Like in the midst of it, just holds me so deeply. Like I'm so grateful for it. My God, I had a thought yesterday, you know, food thought, they happen. And I said to myself, what do I really need? What do I need nourishment? You know, what nourishment do I need? You know, and just being able to get to that place that you can ask yourself that question. No. And I was able to say, I want something hot, and I made a cup of tea. I needed something, but it didn't need to be food. And it's like every day just returning to that in the midst of everything else that's going on. It's like just a miracle that it's even available to me, to my brain, to my heart, to my spirit. Like it's even there for me to take. And I don't just have to like open a bag of something, you know, which I did my whole life. So yeah, but thank you, Esther, for asking. He's not, you know.
We'll pray. Will he be in my thoughts and prayers for sure, and your family for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Vicky, are you willing to go next?
Yep, sorry about that. I was off for a little minute. I had a phone call. My name is Vicky, and I am powerless over everything. Doesn't mean I'm willing to surrender any of it, but I can say that I'm powerless. Am I abstinent? No, I'm not abstinent. I haven't meal planned in probably 2 weeks. My husband and I are going grocery shopping tonight, and we've got meals ready, already set in our brain to meal prep over the weekend, but I'm not measuring, and I'm overeating. And it's anything. I don't care what it is. If it's there, I want to eat it. I have to physically leave the table and push my plate away so that I will stop. It's been not fun. Feeling super tired, a little anxious. I'm scared about tomorrow, and I'm scared about this treatment stuff, but I'm also super grateful for it. I'm like, and hearing about like the ongoing support, because I'm like, I'm nowhere near where I personally want to be. And so I'm super grateful for that. I'm like, don't cut me loose, please, don't cut me loose, you know? So I'm grateful for that. My issue of the day is my little gal. I mean, it's just a lot more than what we ever anticipated. A lot more issues coming to the surface. So it's a lot of multiple kinds of therapies, a lot of behavioral issues, and it's definitely taking a toll on my husband and I both. And I'm super grateful that I have a husband that he is, you know, we are a teamwork and everything else like that. But yeah, we got a lot of neurodivergent behaviors, so a lot of testing and different things like that. But I can't control how it's going to be. And court, I don't know why. I don't know anything about court, but for whatever reason, I thought a couple times, all right, we'll be done. Nope, it's an ongoing process. Sounds like it's going to be ongoing for quite a long time. So I'm like, oh, great. I'm grateful to have a job that allows me to leave when I need to leave and show up when I need to show up. If I was still working in surgery, I probably would have been canned by now. I mean, it's just crazy. But other than that, I mean, work's going super good. I taped the first episode of our cooking show, so that's good. And then we're doing, I'm added on another support group with a book reading, Addictive Thinking, which I need that probably more than anybody. So I'm like, this is great. But yeah, I feel like a hypocrite because I'm like, I'm a sham. I mean, like, this is a blind leading the blind. How the hell am I ever going to help anybody? You know, I can't, I mean, I have to still like take this away from me type of a thing. So I don't know. Frustrated about it, but I mean, I don't know. I'm also, I get kind of like a crap attitude, like, I don't want to do one more thing. Like, I don't want to think about one more thing. I don't want to add one more thing on. But it's probably like meal prepping where it just seems like a lot up front, you know, and then afterwards you're like, whoa, this is so much less stress. It's just getting the oomph to do it, you know, like I'm just like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to think. I don't want to think is the big thing. I just want to sit and do nothing. But yeah, I'm sorry. It's kind of a bummer. I wish I could say I'm doing fantastic. I got 18,000 days of abstinence, but I can't. So I'm not gonna. I'm glad that I'm able to be honest about it. I'm glad that I'm not like, yep, totally doing it, rocking it, you know, and I'm not. So I'm grateful that I feel comfortable in front of everybody here. And I know that regardless of whether I have a good day or a bad day, I'm loved and supported. And I'm really grateful for that. Happy to see everybody, really happy. So that's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicky. And all my best. And I'm going to be happy to see your check-in once you're ready to do it. We'll do it together. No problem. Okay, so who was next? I can't remember if it was Jessica or Cheryl. Let's do Cheryl because and I'll check on Jessica.
Hi, my name is Cheryl, and I am a food addict, volume eater, binge eater, self-will junkie, and I believe in the geographical cure. And everything will be the sunshine and roses over there. As you can tell, as I'm in Cancun. And I bought my ticket compulsively. So I am abstinent 15 hours. And yeah. And I brought my actual scale to the, get this, all you can eat buffet. So that's what I've been doing for the last 7 days. And it's no big deal. I have no problem doing that when I want to. You know what I mean? And then there's some, because it's in my purse. It's just taken out of my purse. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Feeling kind of like shameful, open, vulnerable, aware, scared, and worried. Oh yeah, worried. I left Alberta and I just found out it's now minus 15 Celsius. And I forgot to plug it in at the airport. So we'll see whether or not, I mean, I can future trip all I want, but we'll see whether the car runs. Anyway, and that's probably part of my issue. How am I doing? Since Christmas, it's been on again, off again. I've had like 2 weeks abstinent, then off. And then I'd be a couple of days and then abstinent. I've been off and on and off and on. And still thinking that I can actually do it intellectually on my own and recognizing, especially here, wow, how I can't. And it's kind of, you know, cool, not cool, but it's really kind of aware. I go to that dessert pile, which was never a thing for me. I always with bread or chips or whatever, but here it's like, and it's not even that good, guys. Gotta tell you, it's not. But I will eat a bowl full, and I think I'm controlling it, right? I only go for a bowl. I'll fill that damn bowl, but I won't go for the seconds. So I'm doing good. And I don't go to the grocery store because, man, oh man, I will not pay $10 US for a fucking chocolate bar. Not yet anyway. Because I have the all-you-can-eat friggin' buffet I can go to. What else is there? Grateful. I am very grateful for this Zoom meeting. I knew I needed it. Structure, going around the 12 steps, because I was one of these people that actually thought, oh, I did it once, Christ, I don't need to do it again. I got it. Thank you very much. I'll take all that stuff and then I'll do it myself, kind of deal. And that's where it kind of got me. It got me 20 months abstinent, and I lost a hell of a lot of weight until emotions came and kicked me right on my butt and into the food, and then been struggling now for almost 10 months, keeping or trying to keep abstinent. And I'm so resistant. I just feel this resistance. And let's see, grateful for, like I said, Zoom meeting today. And I was gonna lie. I was not gonna tell you that I wasn't abstinent. So Vicky, thank you. Yeah, I had to see your name. I'm following your suit. But now I have to tell my sponsor because I've been lying to her for 2 days. Fuck, I don't like lying. So, interesting, even through all this stuff, I've been really quite honest with my binging in my whatever. And it was, yeah. But now I'm down there. Fine. Fuck. And thinking it's okay. That's it. Thinking it's okay. Oh, 'cause you know what? Because I'll be abstinent tomorrow. So, here we go. Oh. Also, liar. I guess I could put that on my resume here. Will avoid embarrassment. Will avoid, yeah, feeling. Let's see. You asked us about daily, sending in daily check-ins. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I do to sponsor, and I gladly do it to you, and I don't mind doing that check-in stuff either. Yeah, I'm good with that also. So that's me.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for just really going into your honesty. And there's always hope when we do that, Cheryl. And we never want to do it, you know. You're not alone there. We never want to do it. That's the drive of the self. As we were learning, you know, just think of this part of you as a machine. And we need to take charge. We need to get help to take charge. You're getting there, Cheryl. You really are. Believe me, even if it's a bumpy road still. But you're here. We'll keep going. Just don't lose faith.
No.
And we have a saying in the 12-step world, don't quit 5 minutes before the miracle happens. It has happened to you before.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think that's the frustrating part. I think you know what, if it hadn't happened to me, I'd never be here. I'm serious.
Right.
I know that from the bottom of my core.
Yeah.
But after 20 months of that neutrality and, you know, back to back and like nothing, crystal, clean.
Yeah.
I want that back.
Beautiful, Cheryl. I'm so glad you're here. I can see you've been in the sun. Take care not to burn.
No.
Okay, thank you. We have then, Jessica, are you there at all to be able to speak? She may not. I think she may be working. Okay, then we have Esther. Go ahead, Esther.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Esther. And what is it here? Where am I powerless? I am a food addict and a compulsive overeater. And I don't know the other things that I am yet, but I'm on the way to discover, I think. I think I might have codependency issues as well. I'm quite sure that I do. And maybe some other things. I'm powerless over sugar and flour and quantities of food. I'm also powerless over social media or screen addiction, I would say. I'm powerless over what other people say or think or feel about me. And I'm powerless over world affairs and even my own thoughts and emotions. I am abstinent. Today is the 102nd day of my abstinence, so I'm really, really happy about that. And somehow I feel that abstinence for me right now is something that I just want to hold on to, because I can. So the difference in how I feel and how I am now being abstinent is just so clear and tangible for me, opposed to how I was feeling, let's say a year ago, for example. And I can very, very vividly remember that. And I don't want to go back there. Never, never, ever again. So this is how I went into the Christmas season. And the most important thing for me throughout those days and weeks was to keep my abstinence and to focus on that. And apart from that, also to do my daily routine of prayer and meditation and my recovery work and all that as much as I could. So I'm really grateful that God kept me safe through those weeks, which were not really easy emotionally. So feelings that I have right now, I feel quite tired and very grateful for you and for this course. Curious about the future and about my journey and about tomorrow. Curious about what life will bring me in this new field. I also feel calm and loved by my children, and it's very, very good. And also loving towards them and towards people that are important in my life. I also feel a bit worried, not a bit, quite worried and anxious about my best friend who is going through a very difficult time. And yeah, I think that's it. The issue for the day, I am doing my 9th step in my recovery program, and it means that I'm making amends, and I have chosen the 3 most difficult people as first ones. Most of my fellows are very surprised about that, and they say I'm very brave because they kept the most difficult ones to the end. And I don't understand that, because I just want to, it is stressful for me, and I would like to get rid of that stress or that fear of talking to these people. So one of these people is my sister, and I'm going to talk with her tomorrow morning. So I think that is my issue. I've been thinking about that conversation quite a lot, and I would really like to pray and to be present in that in a humble and honest way. So yeah, and I am thankful for many, many things. I'm thankful for the opportunities that I have in my life, my job that sometimes I think I don't like, but again, it provides for my family, and it provides the financial background to me being able to do many things that I like. So I'm also grateful for my children, for the relationship with my children. I'm grateful for a therapist that came into our lives and who is going to help my middle daughter in her struggles a little bit. I'm extremely grateful for that. And I'm also grateful for me not hating winter this year, which is a surprise, and it's a new thing for me because I've always hated, or it has always made me very, very depressed and very, feeling very blue. But this year somehow I'm sure it's recovery again, but it's good to be not hateful towards winter. So I'm grateful for that too. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. I keep forgetting to unmute myself. Oh boy, you guys. I'm just gonna try to call on Jessica. Are you there, Jessica, at all to be able to speak? Doesn't seem like it. Is there something from her? I knew she needed to go because of work a little earlier today. Nope. I guess we'll just have to hear from her tomorrow. Okay, so this is the situation, you guys, and when we're doing this kind of work, it is what it is, as somebody said, and we go from there. And it is the acceptance of what is. And like what's her name? Byron Katie, to start loving what is. And there's so much truth in that. And it comes into the part where I talk about us loving the dirty children, within us, the conflicts and the defects of character, the part where we're not looking so great at, in our humble opinion, with this, and we're not doing as well as we would have hoped to, and all of that. So it is the acceptance, this is me now. This is what's happening right now for me. And then basically when I accept, then I get a reality check. So we get a reality check, and then we can relax into it bodily, and that's a surrender. So my Capricorn side always needs a way to feel and grab onto what to do. And so for me, it's been very helpful to have a process. So I accept, okay, I am not abstinent today. That's the fact. Or I shouted at somebody, or I cried because somebody was angry with me, or whatever is happening in my life. And I have all kinds of feelings about it. And I am resentful. I am feeling a victim of. I am this and that, whatever it is, and usually very fearful underneath it all. Because fear is usually underneath everything that is going on in our lives. So then, as I just let that flow kind of come over me, just that's the letting go. I just let it come, whatever it may be. Just let it come. And then I feel my body, feel where there is tension, or even just as I just acknowledge my body, I usually have a deep breath. And sometimes I need to help the breath, depending on how severe whatever is happening is. And nothing's really happening to me, but just going through the process of it. But I still need to just really get there, and that's the surrender. It's the surrender. There can be sadness coming up as we do that. We can be experiencing different feelings, like a calm. But usually the calm comes after that we've surrendered, and that we sit with whatever is there and within the surrender. That's our next step, to sit with whatever uncomfortability or comfortability there is. Just sit with it. And it's like if you would slam a door on your fingers. There's a excruciating pain that happens when we do that. We've all probably experienced it. And there's nothing really we can do about it except just sit with it. We just sit with it. And it's not going to be easy. We may put our hands onto cold water or whatever we can to do to relieve a little bit the pain. But the best way to relieve pain, whether it's emotional or physical, is to just let go. Just let go. And have it attended to in any and every way that we need. Okay, so time is up. I will be sending you the check-in form with the God's will and self-will, self-will and God's will. And I would really appreciate if you would at least send that to me on a daily basis. So that would be like an agenda for you to really do that coming up, because that's basically what we are doing right now. We're understanding where we're in the self-will and where we're not. And it's pivotal in the work that we're going forward with, in the understanding of it. So don't try to, analyze it. Just do it. Just put down whatever comes up. And like so many of you guys here, just be honest about. One of the things that I thought it was so horrendous, if anybody knew that I could get jealous. I laugh about it today, but that was one of the things. Oh my God, nobody can know that I can become jealous. I felt so much shame about it. And this is just it. It is acknowledging what comes up, how we are the dirty children of God, but we're still God's children. We're really no different from the presentable parts of us. Okay, everybody, any questions or concerns before we leave today? Doesn't seem
Yeah, I
like
just
it.
really quick, where was the God's will, my will list going to be available?
I'll send it on email, and we'll
Email,
have it
thank you.
we'll also have it available in the material, the treatment to material.
Thank you.
We'll say. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Cindy, do we need? Oh, okay, she's gone.